Hey YouTube gardening world, if you're hoping to grow lavender like this, then stay tuned. I'm going to show you how to plant, grow, maintain, and water all of your lavender. We're also going to talk about some companion planting ideas, and I'm going to give you one reason why this may not be the garden plant for you. Now, at the end of the day, you pretty much have three types of lavender to choose from. This one is the French lavender. You have an English lavender, which is typically planted around roses and a cottage garden. And then you have Spanish lavender, which is probably the most widely used or the most popular ones or the ones that come to mind when somebody says lavender. Now, at the end of the day, they're all planted and maintained pretty much the same. So this video is going to cover you on all three. Now, when it comes to planting these guys, what you basically want to do is put them in your native soil. Now, if your native soil is absolutely terrible, it is a good idea to throw a shovel full of soil conditioner in the hole. That's not manure, that's not compost, it's called soil conditioner. And if you want to take that extra step, I do suggest testing the pH level in your soil. Now, if your pH level is extremely low, you're going to want to add a little bit of lime because these guys like the pH levels closer to 7 or 8. And last but not least, when you go ahead and put them in the ground, you're going to have your grade level. I like to put my root ball about a ½ inch high, and that just gives it every opportunity to dry out in case you get a lot of water or you tend to overwater the plant. Now, speaking of water, these guys like it on the dry side, so do not overwater. It's the #1 reason you're going to kill this plant. What I like to do is not water it at all in the fall and the winter. And then in spring, if we've had a really dry kind of 3 weeks of no rain, I will put a little bit of water on these guys. And then in the summertime, in our area, Northern California, zone 9, we get 100-degree days for several days in a row. I'll go ahead and set my dripper system to go ahead and deep water these guys once a week. Now, as I mentioned, this plant isn't for everyone, and here's why. So if you're not willing to come out and maintain this plant and cut it back a couple times a year, don't plant it. Don't plant any lavender at that point. What's going to happen, especially with this French and Spanish lavender, is they start to kind of sag in the middle, and then everything starts falling to the outside, and then the center dies out, and so then you have a dead center, and then all these blooms popping out on the outside. It looks really unsightly, and that will happen by the second growing season. So if you're not willing to maintain this plant, don't put it in your garden. Now, if you're willing to maintain it, it's definitely worth your time. Like I said, I'm here in Northern California, zone 9, and this is one of the first plants to flush out flowers. So you've been waiting all winter for something to bloom, and then here comes these guys in March, and they're just covered in purple flowers. So what it's a good idea is to go ahead and let it bloom March and April. And then after April, these flowers are going to look really spent. So you're going to want to come back and just gather this and cut it way back. Cut it down to like 10 inches, 8 inches, just down to the green wood. And then at that point, what it's going to do is spend a couple of weeks regenerating, and you're going to start to see new leaves and new growth on the plant throughout May. And then by the end of May or early June, all of a sudden you're going to see the flower stalks pop up, and then they're going to bloom like crazy in June and July. Now, what you can basically do at that point is just deadhead the spent flowers. You don't have to do this, but it's a good idea. And then you can get this sucker blooming all the way into like October. Last year we had flowers on this thing all the way into November. All right, so now let's talk about some companion plants for lavender. And the good thing is you have so many choices to choose from, but here are some of my favorites. I'm currently growing it with black-eyed Susans, so that yellow and purple really pop together. I also am growing it with a variegated Euphorbia, and so that kind of silver leaf with the purple plant looks really, really cool together. In the past, I've grown it with Miscanthus grass, the Zebrinus kind. So it's a tall green Miscanthus ornamental grass with yellow striping on it. And then the purple with it looks fantastic. Our neighbor is growing it with some white Echinacea flowers. I think they're called PowWow white. And then I really like this coral, lemon coral sedum. That looks really great with purple as well. All right, so there you have it, all things lavender. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you're zones 8, 9, or 10, or are a new gardener, this is gonna be the perfect gardening channel for you. So make sure you like, subscribe, and do all that other fun stuff, and we will catch you in the next video.